course. And Patrick, the situation is not being de-escalated in any way.
Not at all, Mike. And it looks like, we'll bring up on screen, it looks like this is what we are looking at. And it gives me much pain to say that, especially since we all have very vivid memories of 2003 and the run-up to the Iraq War, and how much people were shouting and screaming, and who knew that this was an absolute scam being run by the Bush and Blair regimes, and yet the governments didn't listen to the people. And for this reason, it's almost like a repeat. But let's look at where things are at right now. So this is what the White House put out just yesterday. So Trump basically saying he's approved an attack on Iran, but's holding off on giving final orders. So basically, the president saying Trump's deciding whether to join in the Israeli strikes on Iran within 2 weeks. So he's saying, I'm deciding over the next 2 weeks whether to jump in or not.
But did he approve them or not? Or is he doing it or not? It seems to be ambiguity between the headline in that article and the text you put on screen there.
Complete ambiguity. And so this is what we have with Trump. The policy flip-flops and swings every 12 hours, it seems. And who knows what he's going to put on his social media account. So total chaos here. So that's what he's saying. Now, do you believe Trump? I mean,
no.
Has he built up a rating of credibility with things that he has said and things that he's done?
No.
I'm going to have to say absolutely not. I don't trust Trump. So this looks like a ruse. And a clue to this may be from the recent post from award-winning journalist Seymour Hersh. We'll bring this up on screen here. What I have been told is coming in Iran, and this is what Hersh has published in the last 24 hours. He's saying here quite clearly, this is a report on what is likely to happen in Iran as early as this weekend. So the window for attacks, according to Hersh, is late evening time, United States, East Coast Standard, up until Monday. And he says, according to Israeli insiders and American officials I've relied on for decades, it will entail heavy American bombing. And he goes on with just another important detail, the longtime U.S. official in Washington who told me that all will be, quote, under control if Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, quote, departs, a.k.a. regime change.
But it's actually much more than that. It actually means dead.
It means dead, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So when he says they've already attempted to kill him at least once already, the Israelis, and so the Americans believe that they can, quote, finish the job, as it were. And it doesn't end there. We'll just look at this here. When we go back and just check out what has been said, talk among White House planning groups that include J.D. Vance, vice president, of installing a moderate religious leader to run the country. But Israel demands a political puppet. So Hersh is insinuating here there's a difference of opinion between the Israelis and the United States about what type of regime change needs to happen. So you see, they've already created a sort of sub-debate to get the media to argue about what is an appropriate regime change. So we've gone all the way from no new wars, no wars in the Middle East, no more forever wars, to, well, we need to defend our allies Israel, and then Iran shouldn't have a nuke, and now it's Iran can't have any enriched uranium, and now it's Iran must submit to full surrender, unconditional surrender, otherwise we're going to, bomb Tehran and evacuate Tehran and so forth, and now it's regime change. So opinion polls, Mike, on regime change in America are not looking good for the MAGA base. And there's been a lot of talk and things published and commentary to that effect. So there is definitely a split. This is not popular with Trump's base. Not at all. And so let's look at the other side of the Atlantic in Israel. And this is the debate in Israel. Again, how to kill Iran's leader. And this is Israel Katz. He's the defense minister, basically saying that Khamenei cannot continue to exist. So he's calling for the murder of the Iranian leader. So, I mean, they're still pretending like there's some possibility for negotiations here. I mean, this is the crazy part. And so we have this meeting coming up in Europe. Let's take a look at this. This is happening right now as we speak in Geneva. European ministers are holding emergency nuclear talks with the Iranian Foreign Ministry today, according to sources. And it's being led by what's called, Mike, the Troika. The Troika. So who are the Troika? UK, Germany, France, plus plus Kalliakalis. So I guess not quite.
Well, the Europeans, they need 3 presidents. They need a troika, but a troika is 4. So how does that work?
Yeah, in Europe, 1 + 1 + 1 = 4.
Right.
It's not meant to make sense, Mike, but that's what Brussels is all about. So what are the chances of peace between these artful dodgers here, Keir Starmer, Friedrich Merz, who's already basically said, we're here to do Israel's dirty work, and then Emmanuel Macron, who quite frankly doesn't know whether he's coming or going. He doesn't know which way the door swings on a good day. And Kalliakalis, well, she is basically a war hawk. So I'm not holding out much hope for this. Now, what do you think this is about here? And this is the question with this one. I don't know what they're actually up to here. I'm very skeptical. I think that this is inconsequential. I can't imagine what leverage any of these Europeans will have on either the United States or Israel. They've been totally supine when it comes to Netanyahu, to the genocide in Gaza, and to the unprovoked war against Iran. An illegal war of aggression. The very thing that they're, up in arms and raising Cain with Russia over in Ukraine, they've got nothing to say about Israel. And not only that, but they're talking about, Israel wants to assassinate the entire Iranian government. They've already done half the government on the first day of the attack. They've killed all the top officials, half of them. So, this should be a crisis moment. So the question is, what's Europe going to do here? That's the big question. What can Europe do here? And I'm not convinced. It almost looks like this is a distraction, because you have to remember, they're all working in concert with Israel. All of these people are diehard Zionists. They're totally in the tank with Tel Aviv and Netanyahu, and they can't do anything, I think, to sway Donald Trump. I can't imagine what leverage does Europe have.
Europe doesn't have any leverage on this, as far as I can see, and this is a very good question. They're putting on a front, but is this just good cop, bad cop exercise going on, do you think?
Well, if you consider, Mike, what Seymour Hersh has published there, wouldn't this be a nice distraction to try to, they think they can lower the guard of the Iranians and then come in hard with a bombing campaign on the weekend? Because isn't that what the United States and Israel did already with the nuclear talks? In the 6th round of talks, they managed to, we reported on it last week on this program, that Israel's plan was to lull the Iranians into complacency while planning a surprise attack. Now, do you think the Iranians will fall for that twice? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. So we'll see where this goes. Now, former Labor leader Jeremy Corbyn, Mike, is somebody that could have been prime minister. He was ousted by the Israeli lobby, by the deep state, by the intelligence services, and certainly the United States was part of that effort, along with the Tory party, of course, and Rupert Murdoch, all happily worked together to oust Jeremy Corbyn. Now, he has been doing a lot of interviews, and he's been doing sterling work on the floor of the House of Commons. And I really can't imagine who would be a better leader of the Labour Party at this very moment in time if it's about preserving human life and world peace. Here's a video clip of Corbyn just laying out just one important aspect of this whole story that seems to be missing from the mainstream coverage.
Why do you think more hasn't been made of Israel's nuclear weapons?
Because fundamentally, the media narrative on most global channels is essentially pro-Israel, despite the genocide findings, despite the continued occupation of Gaza and the West Bank, despite the deaths of 60,000 and more people already there. Somehow or other, that's now parked, and we're now into what Keir Starmer and David Lammy call legitimate self-defense. Secondly, it was only dragged out of Lammy during persistent questioning from Richard Bergen and myself that he acknowledged that, reluctantly, that Israel actually has nuclear weapons, is not an adherent to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty or to the Global Ban Treaty. Iran does not have nuclear weapons. How do I know that? Because for for once, I believe the CIA when they reported to Congress in March that there are no nuclear weapons in Iran.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003.
Powerful. Corbyn, listen, Keir Starmer, ousting of Corbyn, the imposing of Keir Starmer on the party, it seems like a coup at this point. It honestly does. But what the end was Tulsi Gabbard, that's the Director of National Intelligence in the United States, stating unequivocally in her assessment, the entire intelligence community's assessment in March, Iran does not have a bomb and is not working on a bomb. So that should be the policy of the United States government. But that's not what Donald Trump said when he was doorstepped by a CNN reporter on Air Force One. Listen to this.
But how close do you personally think that they were to getting one? Because Tulsi Gabbard testified in March that the intelligence community said Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon.
I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having it.
So
where's he taking his advice from? From the DNI or from somebody else?
Could be someone else in his ear. Could be Lindsey Graham. It could be the Israeli lobby. Could be Jared Kushner. Or it could just be that's what Donald Trump thinks. And to hell with the intelligence community. He just threw Tulsi Gabbard under the bus. He threw his DNI, who was confirmed by the Senate, under the bus. And they're trying to paper this over in the media to say, oh, there's no daylight between them and all of this stuff. So Donald Trump and Tulsi Gabbard. And this is what Ray McGovern has said here. He says, memo to Tulsi Gabbard, resign. Trump has trashed the last vestige of independent intel analysis. Don't lie. You are, quote, not on the same page. Leave lying to Trump. He knows Iran is not working on a nuclear weapon. Go public. Americans have a right to know this. That's Ray McGovern, head of Veterans for Intelligence Sanity there in the United States. And so this is what the media has kind of dived into this here. And this is what they're claiming anyway. In the eyes of the Trump and some close to him, Gabbard was warning him not to greenlight the Israel attacking Iran. Trump even expressed his disapproval to her personally. The three people said, so three sources close to the author here, the authors of this Politico piece here, and they go on. Gabbard insisted to reporters Tuesday that she and the president are on the same page on Iran. And the persons close to Gabbard denied any tension between her and the president. So that's the public line. What's the reality? I think there is a difference. But then again, this could all be theater, Mike. With Trump, this could just be sort of fake opposition, WWF wrestling to make it look like, oh, he has a restraining voice in the cabinet. It's Tulsi Gabbard. She's a peacenik. And she released a video about the Hiroshima bombs a couple of days before on June 10th that seemed like very out of character. Maybe it's legitimate. Maybe it's genuine. But if it is genuine, she needs to resign. Right. And go public and say, this is wrong. This is going to lead to nuclear war. I mean, that would be the right thing to do for her, seeing that she's been thrown under the bus by her own president. Or she could play it safe, or this is just all theater, Mike. It's all theater. Who knows? Time will tell.
Time will